How do I make money as a filmmaker? Sounds ambitious, but it's usually coming from the wrong mindset. Most people don't realize that even if you're covering the bills, if you're not moving closer to the industry, you're not building a career, you're just surviving. And survival mode can switch quietly into the years. There's a simple but critical shift that determines whether you build momentum or just keep covering rent. In this video, I'm going to break down how income actually starts in this business and why getting inside the industry early changes the entire trajectory of your career. But before we dive deeper, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss what's next. All right, let's jump in. So how do you make money as a filmmaker? Most people think the answer is simple. I'll just move to LA or New York or Atlanta. I'll get a job waiting tables, driving Uber, working retail, and then I'll chase acting, directing, writing, producing on the side. And let me say this clearly, there's nothing wrong with honest work. But here's the question no one asks. Is that strategy actually building your career? Because strategically, it doesn't move you forward. If your income is completely disconnected from the industry, your momentum is disconnected too. You're spending most of your time building skills, relationships, and value in a world that has nothing to do with where you're trying to go. And in filmmaking, proximity matters. The most proactive way to approach this business is to insert yourself into it from day one. Not when you break in, not when you get discovered, from day one. That might mean becoming a production assistant. It might mean working as a development intern. It could be assisting in casting, working in post, or getting a job at a literary agency if you want to write. And here's what most people miss. The point is not the title. The point is integration. You want to be earning money inside the ecosystem you're trying to build a career in. You want your income and your ambition operating in the same environment, because once you're inside, something shifts. When you're no longer guessing how the industry works, you're seeing how decisions get made. You're watching how projects actually move forward. You're learning what stalls momentum and what accelerates it. You're getting paid to understand the machine from the inside. And that changes everything, because now your day job isn't separate from your dream. It's feeding it. That shift from being outside the ecosystem into being integrated into it is where real traction begins. When you work inside the industry, you're not just earning a paycheck, you're building proximity. And that word matters. You're building relationships. You're learning how things actually function, not how you imagine they function. That's a very different education. And here's something that surprises a lot of people. Sometimes you discover that the role you thought you wanted isn't even the one you're best suited for. You might show up thinking you want to direct. Then you spend time on set and realize you love production design or editing or development or logistics. That shit doesn't happen in theory. You don't discover that from the outside. You discover that through exposure, through being in the rooms, through watching how decisions get made, through seeing what actually energizes you when the pressure is on. My co-founder here at Indie Film Ins and Outs, indie producer Mark Klebanoff, has talked about this when reflecting on his early career. When he looks back, almost everything meaningful branched from 2 or 3 key relationships, just a handful of introductions that multiplied over time. Not dozens, not hundreds, 2 or 3 also have the same experience. That's how this business works. It compounds through proximity. Your first gig leads to your second, that leads to your third, and eventually you're not trying to break in anymore, you're working. And that transition from outsider trying to get access to insider building momentum doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you put yourself where the compounding can start. And this isn't about immediately making money as a producer or as a working director. That's not the point. It's about how you pay your bills from square one. Because of that decision, what you do for income at the beginning quietly shapes your entire trajectory. If you want to be a writer, get close to writers, work at a literary agency to read scripts and understand how development actually works. Don't just write in isolation and hope someone discovers you. Put yourself where the material is being evaluated, where conversations about stories are happening, where you can see why certain scripts move forward and others don't. If you want to act, go be a production assistant on indie films. Indie films often cast crew members in small roles. Instead of endlessly auditioning in isolation, you're building relationships and broadening your skill set on set. You're visible, you're useful, you're part of the process. If you want to produce, put yourself in production offices, work in development, learn how packaging actually works, learn how budgets are structured in the real world, learn how deals actually come together, not how you assume they do from the outside, because every hour inside the system builds leverage. And that's the part most people underestimate. Mark has shared early on that he taught karate to kids while trying to make movies. It was flexible, it paid the bills. It wasn't a bad job, but in hindsight, he wishes he had pushed harder harder to get more production work earlier, more set time, more industry exposure. Not because teaching karate was wrong, because set time compounds, relationships compound, experience compounds. And the earlier you start compounding, the faster your trajectory changes. That's the real strategy. Not just surviving while you try to break in, but positioning yourself so that every single year inside the industry multiplies the next one. And that's where momentum stops being accidental and starts being predictable. The second piece of this is initiative. You cannot wait for someone to offer you an opportunity. You have to go create them. This is where a lot of filmmakers stall. They're waiting to be chosen, waiting for permission, waiting for someone to validate the next step. That's not how this works. If you want to write, you should be writing. If you want to direct, you should be directing something, even if it's small. If you want to produce, you should be packaging small projects. If you want to act, you should be on sets building relationships. Momentum favors motion. Early on, say yes strategically. Look at opportunities as stepping stones unless something is clearly misaligned or inappropriate. Not every job is your forever job, but every aligned job can move you one layer deeper into the ecosystem. Nobody is handed a movie to direct unless they're financing it themselves. That's the reality. There's hustle involved. There's repetition involved. There's humility involved. You build proof, you build trust, you build a track record. And if you're consistent, your gigs start to stack. One leads to the other and then another. And eventually the growth becomes exponential, not because you got lucky, because you kept building. Now, let's be honest, a lot of jobs in this industry are gated. Referrals matter. I got one of my jobs at a talent agency because a friend referred me. Another one of my jobs in post came through a neighbor. When Mark was a student at USC, he worked as a teaching assistant and later applied online for a development internship that started unpaid and turned into paid. That position ended up connecting him with a major producer and director. The point isn't the exact path. The point is that relationships open doors, but someone has to know your name before they can refer you. You build that by being inside the ecosystem. There are also practical tools to leverage to find jobs in the industry. Staff Me Up is a website that's strong for television and unscripted work. Mandy Stillis indie crew roles. There are also practical tools to leverage to find jobs in the industry. Staff Me Up is strong for television and unscripted work. Mandy Stillis indie crew roles. Local film office websites in places like Georgia, Louisiana, New Mexico, Canada, and the UK frequently post crew calls. And while no one is on Facebook much these days, it's still a great resource for filmmakers. There are Facebook crew groups, and you can often get decent PA gigs there. They tend to go fast, but it's a great place to look. And even Craigslist is still used for low budget productions, though you need to vet carefully. The platform isn't the strategy is visibility. Submit yourself, show up, integrate. There are also stepping stone paths. You can direct commercials, you can produce branded content, you can create industrials, you can produce videos for local businesses. That work isn't beneath you, it's practical. No one is simply handed a feature film to direct unless they're financing it themselves. That's the reality. You build credibility incrementally. You prove you can deliver, you show you can handle budgets, clients, deadlines, and teams, and that incremental growth is what puts you in position later to make a feature and potentially make it profitably. There's something else worth clarifying here. Making a profitable film is not the same as making money as a filmmaker. Those are two different conversations, and a lot of people blur them together. Now, if you want help learning how to make a profitable film, because understanding how to build positioning is one thing, but learning how to strategically build a project and a career inside the industry is another. We've put together the Creative Producers Filmmaking Roadmap. It's the framework we use in our program to show you how to strategically put together a project from day one, so it's positioned for long-term success. It's not theoretical, it's practical. It's designed to help you make smarter decisions before you're already on set, already financially committed, and already carrying all the risks. So if you want that roadmap, it's linked below. And if you're interested in a full mentorship level program that helps filmmakers learn what it takes to produce content consistently and build a career, email us and we can see if it's the right fit for you. The details are below as well. These will help you learn how to operate as a career producer. But understanding the strategy is only part of the equation. The real test is when you're on set, when decisions have consequences, and that's where preparation makes a difference. And preparation becomes powerful when you've already been inside the system. To make a profitable film, you first have to be in a position to make a film. And getting into that position is the real work. To get there, you need relationships, credibility, experience, and trust. And that doesn't come from working outside the industry and hoping your break shows up one day. It comes from proximity. It comes from repetition. It comes from people seeing that you show up, execute, and deliver consistently. The real question isn't how do I make money? It's how do I build positioning? That's the shift. Income follows positioning. If you earn outside the industry, you survive. If you earn inside it, you build leverage, and leverage compounds. That's how this business actually works. It's relational. It rewards execution. It rewards people who are present, consistent, and integrated into the ecosystem. Not necessarily the loudest, not necessarily the most talented, but the most positioned. Making money as a filmmaker doesn't start with a feature film. It starts with where you choose to stand. Stand outside the industry, and you'll always be trying to break in. Stand inside it, even the lowest level, and momentum begins. And that momentum, if you protect it and build on it, turns into relationships, credibility, and opportunity. And over time, that's what becomes a career. Not one big break, but years of positioned, compounded progress. If this helped you rethink how to actually make money as a filmmaker, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. Here at this channel, we talk about the real strategy behind building a career in this industry, not just the dream, but the mechanics. And if you've got questions about positioning, getting inside the system, or your next move, drop them in the comments. And also go check out our other videos on producing, funding, and distribution, and more. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.